Hey guys, this is subjective content, Joey with subjective content, and I just wanted to share a little project I've been working on, uh, in addition to the gameplay stuff and Project Isekai Lead, and this is Project Hyrule at War, where I essentially am reimagining the Legend of Zelda series as if it was an actual real place in a real world. How would their armies work? What tactics would the different cultures and races of Hyrule use? Even get into like some geopolitical stuff as well as economics. So right now I'm basically working on for what I for my main strategy with this is I'm kind of taking a little of everything from all the timelines, and it's kind of going to be a unified timeline. So every game and every culture is going to be represented. I have a map in progress, and I'll go over that part in another video. I just wanted to go over some of my concept art process and things like that. So I've been researching the different swords in the Legend of Zelda games, specifically the ones that originate in Hyrule, in the Hylian Kingdom. So the trend that I've noticed is they tend to be very broad without a distal taper, and there is a sword in real life that meets this profile. It's the Oakshaft 13B. It's a lenticular cross section. It's a late medieval arming sword essentially. So I guess the main problem with this is the Hylians seem to be technologically behind, I guess, our Western European counterparts when it comes to weapon design and specifically sword design, because this would not really be effective against plate armor. So from the research I did, it can cut through mail and do some nasty things, but because of the lack of distal taper and I mean, there is a fuller, but it's not going to be as light as a sword with one. When reconstructing their martial arts, that's something we got to take into account, is their preferred weapon design, and that is cut centric. But in the games, Link does cut and thrust, so we'll keep that in mind. We may redesign the standard Hylian sword to maybe have a slight distal taper, or even like a hexagonal cross section to facilitate that thrusting. Because in the event of a civil war, which is canonical, there's at least one known Hylian civil war. They're gonna want weapons that can penetrate armor. Now, this little polearm here, kind of inspired by the Golden Egg and what the concept art for the Twilight Princess Hylian soldier had. So think of this little ring as a club, so you can bash, cut, and thrust with that, and it's an incredibly simple weapon that can be mass produced. I thought that would be fitting for the standard soldier. And then I kind of took the different designs from the different games of Hylian soldiers and put together kind of a ranking with them. So on the right here, this is like the Hylian militia, so the town guard that you would see in Ocarina of Time, and the hot pants weren't doing it for me, so I gave them breeches. So they're not as well armored. Though they're pretty damn armored for a militia, but they're not as well armored as, let's say, the Hylian footmen are. But they are obviously equipped somewhat. It's their lower body that's really gonna need protection, but their role in Hylian society is mostly as town guards and port the cities. So maybe they should be having the Godenag, but I saw them with a spear, so I gave them a spear. It's good enough, just as good. But anyway, without further ado, let's see if we can reimagine what using the Oridon sword as reference and the real medieval sword, what we can do. Another thing I noticed too with these weapons is the guard does, the handles are longer than a typical one-handed sword. Now I don't know if this is a canon image or not, but that can definitely fit another hand if you really wanted to. So these, maybe the benefit of Hylian swords, they can be used both one-handed and two-handed. It's pretty broad here. I am not good with straight lines. Like, normally I'd be using a ruler if I was doing this traditionally, and I don't really know how the rulers work in this program. That's that's a start. Now here in this image, there's a point to this. So maybe it's like a type XXA where really broad, and then just at the tip, it's do that. Okay. Oh. Okay. And then I'm gonna use shift and then just click down. And then ah! Ah! My mouse is being fidgety. Oh. Okay. Oop, oop, oop. Now it kind of curves that. And then it curves out like that. Okay. It's not even. And you know what that means when something's not even? That means... oh. That's not what that means. Oh. That means... copy. Paste. Transform. Flip horizontal. Okay. No. A little less drastic. There you go. Oh, what? Okay. Yeah. What's that? That looking. There we go. That's looking. That's looking sexy. I would get cut with that sword. Now, do we want to give it a little bit of a distal taper, or do we want to keep... Let's keep it faithful, because that's... They're going to have to work around that. For, yeah. This might even be restricted purely as a backup weapon or an adventurer's weapon. So I could see this being pretty effective against the Gerudo. That are obviously not an iron and knuckle armor. So maybe, yeah, that's probably why their weapons are not as deadly to armor as their European counterparts, because the enemies that they face are tend to have low armor. Except for the Gorons, but the Gorons are disincentivized to go to war against the Hylians because of trade. Though I'm sure the Hylians would have a backup plan. I mean, that's why we got this. That'd be kind of interesting if they had like some pickaxe kind of weapon to use against the Gorons. Ouch. But we'll get to the Gorons later, because they're really interesting. Their military potential and what they do is going to be really good. If they ever decide, you know, we're done being peaceful rock eaters, we deserve the world. Alright. Let's see. Kind of a weird sword, but or I guess a weird hilt. Yep. Yeah. There we go. Okay, and then these come out. Quillians. They're a bit thick. Okay. And I'm just gonna copy and paste that, because why do extra work? Copy, paste, edit, transform. Yeah, you're gonna find out that I do a lot of this shit when I'm doing my concept arts, because I know I can do it without it, but why? Like, why? Okay. This is where it's going to be proportionately a little bit different. It's going to be more of a hand and a half sword. Let's say it's about... EA long? Oh. What? Oh. This was not on the same layer? Oh, yep. I see what I did. Move up. Now this is obviously way longer than this, but this is also way longer than this. And if it kind of like does this and then like it curves out like that, that's giving me like those Greek sword vibes. Not the word is escaping me. Future Joey here. It was the Zephos that I was thinking of. Like the leaf blade shape. Hyrule is definitely going for more of a lopping, chopping style of warfare. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out in large scale battles. Okay. And then those overhang, it looks like. Now the sword, I can't tell if it's shaped, tapered, so you can like feel the edge alignment. But we're doing that because not doing that is stupid. If. Okay. And then is that a hole in the pommel? Why? Okay. They just like drilled a little piece of little hole in there. I don't really quite know why. Like, which side do I like better? Right side. Oop. Oop. Bada bing, bada boom. This is labeled as the soldier's sword, so we're gonna be faithful and make a separate design for the soldiers, which is basically the same thing, just there's a little flourish. Now I'm not sure how this would affect the integrity of the blade. I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to add a distal taper. That is this sword thick, or is that like is it like this? Or is it like this? It's a smooth transition. I can't tell. Because if it's the one on the left, then that's one thick ass sword. I'm gonna be liberal with this and assume it's the one on the right. And I'm gonna say it's like a diamond cross section to give it more stiffness and sturdiness. So something like this. Bada bing, bada boom. And then let's say tape in slightly more. Just a little bit more. Like that. Oh, whoops. What layer is mine? Oh, that's not good. But an easy fix. Cut, paste, move up here, and then. Okay. Now we'll do it. Rectangle. Okay. Oop, that's a lot. Okay. Oh, don't want to do that. Do. Do. Now. Retransform this. Edit. Transform. Retransform. Bring it in like that. And like that. And like that. Yeah. Now we push deeper to it. Let's do this. Boop, 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 boop. Make this a little thinner. Transform. Transform. Oops. Ah. There we go. We should probably make this. Oh, it's covering you. Huh? Okay, I don't know how that happened. Okay, and then the whatchamacallit guard is more standard with the this. With the same hand and a half property, it's gonna be there. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom. No, I'm just thinking how it's gonna use. Because in theory, I mean, these lunges could be used to catch. Okay, yeah, because it's kind of reminded me of not the Zweihander, but the lunges on a fetter. So to protect the hands. That's actually kind of interesting. That could be an interesting idea to play with. So why not? Okay. So it's got kind of like this kind of thingy. And then that. And then do that. Just exaggerating them a little bit to make them more effective for catching. to copy, paste, transform for horizontal. Okay. Starting to look pretty decent. I just need to get that handle, which looks like it's the same, but a slightly different pommel shape. Okay. And this one I'm definitely gonna make thicker and taper down. That's really a sign of a knightly, well, war sword, more professional. There we go. Okay. And then looks like it's more of a this shape. Hair kind of pommel. I gotta fix the length of the blade. And then, well, it needs to be slightly thicker. And it still tapers, but it tapers less. This is the Hylian tradition. Now these are really thick. Shaving them down, shaving them down, shaving them down. And then we'll get the fuller out of the way. Okay, so this doesn't have a fuller though. Oh, no, it does. Kind of goes in curves. Huh. That's interesting. So I'm gonna say maybe something like this then. That. And then like oh that. And then there we go. Then go to this sword. There any sword experts who are watching? Because I'm not. I'm learning still. Like I taking blacksmithing classes and studying the blade mechanics and geometries of a sword. And obviously, I practice sword fighting, but I am bound to make a mistake sooner or later. So do not feel hesitant in the least to call me out, because something I value, and that something that I want this channel to be is a place of discussion and debate and friendly debate. A place where we all can respect each other as individuals and help us become the best we can be. And I need to lead by example. And that's one thing that I've always been really pro, is being able to take critique and not getting your panties in a swirl with smaller things. Okay. Yeah, I like them. Are they functional? If design wise, I mean, I'm sure they would kill, but I can't say anything without actually handling them. Now, if I actually had a budget for this channel, I would absolutely commission these made and test them. Because if I can, if people are really into this, I will straight up, you know, go in and just create actual martial art systems based on these weapons and the different races. I plan on doing that already, but with a budget, I mean, I could do it a lot more accurately. And luckily, I got a job again finally as a bar host, trivia host. That's gonna be fun, but it's part time. It's just enough to cover my basic needs while I'm working on this channel and Project Isekai Lead. So yeah, if we could get like a Patreon going, I would absolutely continue this project in earnest. Not that I plan not to, but you know the reality is production quality is definitely tied to budget. So this I hope this if you're designing swords for your world or your video game or story or whatever, I hope this helped inspire you and got you to think about how you can improve your work. But I'll do a whole video on like tips on weapon design, but just for a quick little rundown, the things you need to consider are one, the who is wielding it, the context. Is this a peasant? Is this a knight? Can they afford this weapon? Where did they get this weapon? Etc. etc. The second thing to consider would be how is this weapon designed to kill? And from there you can when I do swords, I always like to start with the cross section because that's gonna give a clue about how it's intended to be used. Uh, is this a weapon that values reach, stability, cutting power, thrusting power, both? It's and then go into the actual records and go look at museum replicas, learn the oak shaft typology, and what I do is I start with the base in history, and then from there I exaggerate to hell and back. For example, this sword right here. I started with an executioner sword, as well as a scythe. So I made the profile very wide, and it doesn't really taper much, but it has an inverse curve up here, and this is the edge basically to lop someone's head off or do major damage, and then it comes out like here, so it acts like a pendulum. So it's a weapon that stays in motion, and then the pommel's supposed to help counterbalance it, and then hopefully I made it right, but the handle should be long enough that it's your whole body wielding it, almost like a montante. And then I took the relief sculptures from Notre Dame, and basically turn them into like little patterns to shape the sword, give it like a real gothic feel. This character is Alcumena, by the way. She was she was a boss battle and later character, ally character in the game we were gonna make before we decided this is above our pay grade. Let's make something a little more simple and accrue an actual big budget first. So stay tuned for this in like 8. Okay. Now we're back to this. Okay, so I'm an idiot. The one I just did was the knight's sword. And I haven't designed the Hylian knight yet. The soldier's sword is basically the Auridon sword, but it has the handle as the knight sword. Well, I'll just slap on that. Though I don't think the guard is Quillians are more straight on this one, and it doesn't have this little thing, so it's not as ornate. Uh, okay, so now let's just this way. And okay. So I'll probably actually design the Hylian Knight with you guys, and then you can see some of my character design process. And then you can, and then I'll do a bunch of different character designs. Because with this, it's good. It's different art style and different presentation than Isekai Lead or Blackheart. So my character designs are going to be different depending on context and what the medium is. Really cool. There's 3 different sword designs. And then, alright, I'm gonna go take a quick break, and then we will